We begin tonight in Alabama, the collision site of abortion politics and military policy in dramatic form. For nearly the last half century, as courts and lawmakers have argued over fetal viability and abortion policy, there was one fundamental, nearly universal agreement. U.S. taxpayers will not fund elective abortions. It's called the Hyde Amendment, introduced in 1977. Here's Joe Biden's long-held view on the Hyde Amendment to disallow taxpayer funding for abortions.
Are you still opposed to public funding for abortion?
I still am opposed to public funding to abortion.
Joe Biden's campaign said he continues to support the Hyde Amendment. That's a 40-year-old measure that prohibits federal funding for abortion services.
The Biden campaign confirmed to NBC News that the former senator, he was a senator for all those years, continues to support the Hyde Amendment.
Of course, like everything else Joe Biden's done, he's flip-flopped on this issue to appease the woke mob. But either way, the Hyde Amendment is the law of the land in the United States. But is our military following it today? You decide. So following the Dobbs decision, the U.S. military agreed to reimburse service members for abortion-related travel, subsidizing the overall enterprise of the provision of abortion. Joe Biden sought no vote on the Congress on this matter. He did it unilaterally. So someone else took unilateral action. Any one member of the U.S. Senate can place a hold on top military officers up for promotion. Senator Tuberville put a hold on all of them, hundreds, all to combat the Pentagon's new policy covering expenses and granting leave to troops who travel to obtain abortions. It has attracted the attention and ire of the Pentagon. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin writing a letter to the Senate calling this move, quote, irresponsible and unprecedented, and writing, quote, this indefinite hold harms America's national security and hinders the Pentagon's normal operations. The longer that this hold persists, the greater risk U.S. military runs in every domain, every theater, every domain, and every service. Senator Tuberville's holds will most notably impact General C.Q. Brown, who President Biden has picked to lead the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Senator Tuberville has been criticized by everyone from Elizabeth Warren to Mitch McConnell, but he has not given an inch. Whenever they seek to advance military nominations on the Senate floor, Senator Tuberville objects, and I have been proud to stand behind him in observance of this political courage. It's often quite rare, especially on the floor of the United States Senate. But that isn't the end of the story. Retaliation incoming. The Pentagon may be trying to make Alabama pay, and your state might be next. You see, for political eons, members of Congress have scuffled over where to locate military missions. Many communities like mine in Northwest Florida, we want as much mission as possible for the economic and cultural value. Fortunately, the House and Senate Armed Services Committees are among the most bipartisan in Congress, and studied lawmakers have traditionally put politics and parochialism aside to meet America's defense needs. Troops went where training was most optimal. Sailors went where necessary to project American power, and airmen bed down wherever Uncle Sam needed to hold the higher ground. But now, things might be changing. The decision about where to put the Space Force Command has been delayed. It was set to move to Alabama, Senator Tuberville's state. But now it might remain in Colorado. Is it woke politics, political payback, or both? Senator Tuberville joins me now. Senator, as head coach at Ole Miss, they called you the riverboat gambler because at times with less talented players, you were willing to do everything and anything to win. How far are you willing to take these holds on military flag officers?
First of all, thank you, Matt, and thank you to the Freedom Caucus for coming over several times and standing behind me and beside me during this fight. It's almost a 4-month fight now. It's going to continue, but they're fighting all they can, and they're doing all they can to make me give, but I'm not doing that. And, you know, it's unfortunate. Can you say politics? They're putting politics into everything that's going on right now, especially with what's happening in Alabama with Space Command. We're going to fight it. And they know they're wrong with this. But at the end of the day, I think we'll win out because we're right. Since Roe Wade, as you said, the Biden administration had looked for any possible way to put federal government in the abortion line to where they can do anything they want. And along with the VA, military the same way, I'm going to stop them if I can. We are pro-life in the state of Alabama, but that should not prohibit any military base. If they want to start this, they're going to have to start taking a lot of military bases out of a lot of states and put into blue states. But I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to win this fight.
We've avoided that. Sure, we've avoided that. Now, President Biden has nominated General C.Q. Brown to replace General Milley as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Here's General Brown with me in a recent congressional hearing. Take a listen. She asked you why the terms mom and dad were disfavored. And you said that you're working to build cohesive teams. So just wondering, how do the terms mom and dad impair cohesive team building?
Part of leadership is understanding the people you're privileged to lead. And as you have that opportunity, you get to know them. And every one of us grows up differently and has different experiences, different backgrounds. And we can't assume when we engage with them.
They think mom and dad might be offensive terms. Senator Tuberville, will you hold up the confirmation of C.Q. Brown to become America's top uniformed military advisor if your needs are not met?
Well, as you said earlier, Matt, the only thing that I can do is put a hold on them. Now, they can go through regular order, and I would imagine if they want to get him through, they'll go through regular order, and in other words, one at a time instead of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 at a time. It's just unfortunate that, we're going through this situation. As you just talked to General Brown about mom and dad, well, who would ever thought we'd even have to talk about this? The far left, they have gone so far over the boundaries of wokeism, they don't understand what they're doing. I think they're lost in the woods somewhere, just trying to figure out how do we get out of this? But they've gone a long ways. General Brown's probably a good guy. I don't know him that well. I've talked to him a few times, but at the end of the day, my holds will stay. And again, if Schumer wants to get any of these through, he's going to have to go through one at a time because we're going to hold our ground and we're going to stand up for the Hyde Amendment and for the taxpayers of this country.
I certainly hope that the decisions against Alabama that are being threatened are not retaliation against you for being bold. Senator, while I have you, your reaction to this Biden-McCarthy deal on the debt limit, is it something you think you'll support in the Senate?
No, I don't. As I look at it right now, and again, I haven't completed it, as you well know, Matt, there's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts between the lines in this. But what gets me is the $4 trillion that they will overspend in the next 2 years. And I know we've got to lift the debt limit some. We've got to get a deal. We don't want to default on our debt. But there's some things that McCarthy got him to agree to. That's a big step forward. But I'll tell you, $4 trillion is a lot of money. They spent $5 trillion my first 2 years and the last 2 years in our Congress because they had power. $4 trillion to $5 trillion more than we should have spent. It's just embarrassing where we're at.
We absolutely have to put more downward pressure on spending than that if we want to save the country. We know you're doing your part. Senator Tuberville, thanks for joining us tonight.
You bet.